Hey guys, Alf here. I saw It Chapter 2 recently, and since I had done a review of the first It, or It Chapter 1, whatever you want to call it, I thought I would do a review of this one. To start it off, I'll say I really liked it. I thought it was a great movie. It does have its problems. A lot of people are complaining about it. I've seen a lot of bad reviews about it. Their complaints are warranted, but I don't think that they're so bad that it ruins the movie. I think the movie is still good. As a horror movie, it does a great job. There's a lot of legitimately creepy scenes. It tells the story it needs to tell. But yeah, there are some complaints that make sense. I think the movie was kind of rushed. I wish it wasn't. They should have recorded it. They should have filmed it back to back. That would have made more sense. But instead, the movie wasn't made until after the chapter 1 came out, because I guess they didn't have enough faith in the first movie. But then after seeing how much of a hit it was, yeah, they greenlit it immediately. But you can kind of tell because of that it's kind of rushed, and it's a good movie. So it's kind of sad because it could have been a lot better if they had taken a little more time on it. There are moments where the CGI is shit, but the scenes are done so well that I can kind of look past that. Like there's scenes in general where it's shot so well that it's a good scene, but the only thing bad is the CGI is kind of shitty. It's kind of off. It's gonna age badly, probably because it was rushed. But and sometimes it's things that I'm like, damn, they should have just done prosthetics, or prosthetics mixed with CGI for that instead of going full CGI. Would have looked a lot better. But of course that takes time, and if they're rushing, they're just gonna go straight to CGI. But like I said, those scenes are still good. It's just you have to look past the crappy CGI. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to go too deep into the story. There are some elements missing from the original story that I'm kind of at a loss as to why, but I would guess it would be like time constraints or something, because the movie is 3 hours long. So it is pretty long, and I can't believe they did a 3-hour movie in such a short time. Because I don't even think the script for the movie was picked up till after the first movie came out, and it's only been 2 years between release dates. So that's less than 2 years to make a movie. A 3-hour movie, no less. But regardless, in the end, all the actors did a great job. The story's pretty good. The way I feel about it is, I think I said this for the first movie too, is that the original miniseries captured certain parts of the book very well and didn't capture other parts as well. Whereas these new movies capture a different side very well that the miniseries didn't, but doesn't capture the stuff that the miniseries captured well. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're it's kind of cool to watch them as companion pieces, maybe, if you watch both of them. I know a lot of people say the original miniseries is kind of outdated and isn't that good, but I've watched it after I watched the It Chapter 1 to remember it, because I hadn't remembered it properly. Yeah, Billy Bong reminded me that it was done differently than I had recalled, because I thought they did the same thing where it was like the kid's story first and then the adult story, and then he reminded me that that's not how it did it. They did it more like the book, where they're going back and forth. And so I watched it again, and it was still entertaining. It was still a good movie. Like the special effects didn't keep up. Like they look pretty shitty now, but it's still movie-wise, in general, it was a pretty good movie. Like you have to suspend belief with some movies, right? And even, I mean, you think about it, this was a TV miniseries. At that time, TV shows and miniseries and movies didn't get as big of a budget as theatrical releases. Not like these days where TV series get huge budgets. They didn't back then, so they had to work with what they had, and I think they did a great job. And part 2 and this new double set of movies does a really good job, I think, in a totally different way. I like the way they portray Pennywise. I think that's a part they capture better than the original. Pennywise seems more extra-dimensional in this, like an extra-dimensional demon. He seems more reality-bending. Like, it's hard to explain, but they did it in the miniseries. Didn't portray that as well, I think. I think he seemed more solid. He seemed more like, I mean, he did do magical shit, but in the end, the portrayal of it, it's funny because when I first heard they're redoing it, I thought, how are they gonna, cast Pennywise? Who's gonna be better as Pennywise than Tim Curry was? Like, nobody's gonna beat that. But in the end, I like the way Pennywise was portrayed in this. He's super creepy. He does seem extra dimensional. He doesn't seem to belong here, and they seem to capture that in a way that, in a way of special effects, he seems to be bending reality around himself whenever he's in the area. You know, the background shakes or creates some weird blurry effect, or something like that. And I enjoy that a lot. I think they do a good job with that. So, that's not much else. What else can I say about it? Oh, Bill Hader stole the show. He was amazing in this movie, which is great because I'm used to seeing him just doing comedy. But in this movie, he was funny. But when it came to being serious or emotional, he did a fantastic job. He is 100% the best character in the movie. James McAvoy is a fantastic actor. He does a great job, but I always have this problem with James McAvoy when he does an American accent, and most British people, when they do American accents, a lot of them could do it really well, and so can he, but there are moments where they get emotional or they yell and it slips because it's hard to keep it up in those tones, right? Like, if you're faking an accent, it's hard to do it with certain emotions and stuff like that. When you're just regularly talking, you could do the accent, but when you gotta yell, when you gotta portray emotion, it becomes more difficult. And I've noticed that a lot of times when English actors try to portray an American accent. But it's fine. Like I said, those are complaints, but they're such tiny complaints, they don't ruin the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. Another big complaint is that it's not as good as the first chapter 1. Who gives a shit? Like, it's all part of one story. It's so weird to me for people to say that. It's really good. It's not as good as the first one, because the first one portrays them as kids, and I think that nostalgia and that childness of it will hit a bigger chord with people, where the adult one maybe not so much. But I think together as one large story, they did a great job. There was another complaint I'm not going to go into because it might spoil the movie. I don't want to spoil it. But in the end, there's a couple of things they changed from the original story. That as a person who is a fan of the book It and the miniseries, but I just think the original book was such a fantastic story. It was a huge hit and written so well that I never understood why they took some things out of it from the original miniseries, but they took even more stuff out of it from this one, and I don't understand why. But for me, I view this movie in two different ways. I viewed it like as a fan of the book and the story, and a fan of Stephen King in general, and a fan of and a person who just likes horror movies, and watching this movie as its own horror movie, not based on anything, if I could, separate my mind from that, which I did. And in that case, I love this movie. It does a great job of being a horror movie. If you're the kind of person who's never read the book or never saw the original miniseries, this is a great horror movie. It's fantastic. But as a person, if you're going to go into it thinking about that you want it to be very accurate to the source material, you might not like it, because there's a lot of things changed. But I mean, you should have known that from It Chapter 1, because there was a lot of shit changed on that too, and it captured a different side, then didn't really capture the childhood adventurishness of it. Like, for me, it is basically Stand By Me with a killer clown. An extra dimensional child-eating clown. So, yeah, basically. And this new movies don't capture that part so well, but I'm okay with that. Because that's a horror movie, it's very well. And I would definitely watch It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 again, anytime. They were very enjoyable. There was another thing I wanted to say. There was also a lot of complaints about the gay bashing that happens at the beginning of the movie. And, yeah, I could see both sides of this. Most of the times when something like this happens, I'd be like, oh my god, people are just crying for no reason. It probably makes sense to the movie and all that. And it does happen in the source material. I think the book starts with that. But it does make sense to the story. It's explained. There's an aftermath that happens to that is explained and makes sense to the story and continues to attribute into the story. They kind of took out the aftermath from the movie, which kind of defeats the purpose of it a little bit. But you have to understand, it is not just about Pennywise and these kids fighting it. It's about the town of Derry. The town of Derry has a long history of bad things. and they change something in the movie, and one of the characters, which I'm not going to say so I don't spoil it, that kind of makes it make sense. That kind of makes you understand one character more and why they are a certain way. And you might not catch that, and I think a lot of people didn't catch that, because when I read reviews about this and about the gay bashing part, they don't seem to come back around and catch that it had to do with one of the main characters and why they are a certain way. And I'm not going to say what it is, because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. You guys got to see it. But if any of you watch it and didn't catch what I'm talking about right now, feel free to contact me and we could talk about it. I would love to do that. But yeah, all in all, great movie. I totally recommend it. I recommend it to anybody who's not going to be a stickler for the accuracy to the source material. If you're willing to disregard the source material and watch it as a horror movie, then yes. But there are also parts that you will enjoy of it because of the source material. Like, they do keep some aspects of it. And I think they portrayed Pennywise really well. Even better than the miniseries, which I didn't see coming. You know, like, I totally didn't think that would happen, but it did. So that's cool. Yeah, I think this is over. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions or any movies you'd like me to review or whatever, let me know. Thanks, guys. Peace.